Mr. Davis, would you like to lead us in prayer?
Sure.
Pledge, sorry.
I can do that too.
Thanks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Coleman, prayer.
Yes, sir. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessings of this day. Lord, we ask for your guidance, your wisdom. Please lead us in the way that you might have us go. Lord, there are those that are in need today. We ask that you lay your hand on them. We ask all of these things in thy heavenly precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you both. And welcome to our Fair Week agenda. It's August 11th, and can we get started with the approval of the minutes of August 4th?
I will make a motion to approve the minutes of August 4th as submitted by our clerk.
And I'll second.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Powell,
Aye.
and a matter of accepting miscellaneous reports.
Any comments or questions on our miscellaneous reports? Hearing none.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Powell,
Aye.
and a matter of request to attend meetings.
Any comments or questions on our request to attend meetings? Hearing none.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Powell,
Aye.
and a matter of request for appropriation of funds.
Any comments or questions on 4? Hearing none.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Powell,
Aye.
and a matter of request for appropriation transfer of funds.
Any comments or questions on item 5? Hearing none.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Powell,
Aye.
and a matter of approving the payment regular schedule of accounts for the various funds, moral obligations, and the now certificates, and the total amount of $812,260.76.
Any comments or questions on item 6? Hearing none.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Powell,
Aye.
and a matter of communication from Portsmouth Municipal Court regarding electronic monitoring house arrest invoice for June of 2022.
This is a request for the electronic monitoring house arrest invoice for June 22. 72 defendants on the program at $14.50 for 1,116 days with no cost being paid for by the defendants, leaving a total balance of $16,182 owed by the county. Normally we just look at this and pass along and pay it. I'm no longer comfortable in doing that until I know for a fact that the Portsmouth Municipal Court is trying to actually collect from some of these individuals for their electronic housing. It's absurd to me that there's no one able to pay any of their cost. It's $14.50 a day. Surely we can collect a fine or figure out how to get these individuals to pay versus the alternative of not being at home and going to jail. So this is the largest amount that I can recall. Clerk, is that accurate? $16,182. I would like to know from the Portsmouth Municipal Courts, what are we doing, if anything? It looks like we're not, but what are we doing, if anything, to try to collect some of these funds instead of continually to push it on to the taxpayers of Scioto County? That's just my thoughts on it. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. Okay, go ahead.
I've voiced this many times in the past, and one part of this is that we are thankful that there is a monitoring program, a home monitoring program that at $14.50 a day to allow these offenders to actually sit at home and to keep them out of our jail. That's a big part of it. That's the double-edged sword that we deal with here. And that Portsmouth Municipal Court does do that. Instead of sending them over to our jail. Most of these individuals, I would say, if not all of them, are low-level offenders, should not be a danger to others in any way, shape, or form. But it is troubling when I know for a fact that there has been individuals that have full-time jobs not be assessed for these charges. And that's troubling. I think if a person has a full-time job, is allowed to go work that job, and/or has means that they should be able to pay something toward this. I don't know what the criteria is, or if there's even an attempt to determine if the person is financially able to pay something. But I think that there should be a cost to that person to have the privilege not to go to jail. I think that's the other side of this, is that being able to sit at home or even keep a job, because if you have electronic monitoring, there's a lot of times that they are able to continue to work with certain criteria. And I think there should be a cost to that you're allowed to be free and sit at home, in some cases sit at home and eat potato chips and watch TV. And, I think that's a privilege at that point. So, I don't know. I think it's a two-edged sword. So, I think we'll table that until we receive some communication in regards to that.
I agree, and I'll second your motion.
So we have a motion to table, paying this invoice.
Mr.
And a
Davis?
second.
Aye.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Powell?
Aye, and hopefully we can have some communication with Portsmouth Municipal Court to remedy this going forward. Item number 8.
In a matter of contract agreement between the Scioto County Commissioners and Environmental Design Group regarding professional advertising and marketing services.
This has been a conversation we've been had for a while. This is for marketing for tourism for the county, the Visitors Bureau Board. This has been a project in place since early in the year. We put it out for request for proposal, then collected those proposals, went to the Visitors Bureau Board, received their insight, then acted on their insight, and then to this point we've been essentially working on the contract through our prosecutor's office. We're finally at a point to sign the agreement. This is for a contract agreement between the Scioto County Commissioners and Environmental Design Group for professional advertising and marketing services in the amount of $52,681. That begins July 25th of 22 through November 1st of 22. This is for discovery, strategic planning, creative development, and performance reporting matrix identification for tourism. There's been a lot of investment in recreation and tourism from the county, from individual organizations. Arc of Appalachia comes to mind. ODNR is spending a lot of money as well for the river camp, and this is an opportunity for economic development to bring people in from out of our community to spend their money here and to assist in growing our local tourism industry. So at this point, this is to sign that contract to move forward for EDG, Environmental Design Group, to start their activities. Any comments or questions?
I think this is something that was identified in the, correct me if I'm wrong, the Portsmouth Master Plan, that there was a lot of efforts being made on a lot of different fronts, but there was no concerted effort being made in a coordinated marketing effort, meaning everybody was doing their own thing. If they were doing anything, they were doing their own thing, and that there was no, coordinated effort, meaning a lot of signals, a lot of messages being sent, but even at that can be very overwhelming to someone actually looking into our area. I don't know, a one-stop shop, there's efforts to do that on communicating things that are happening in our area. Local Happenings is one of those that does that effort, tries to get the message out. But this will help our local travel and tourism people to identify exactly their shortcomings. And then propose, this is what you need to do. And we've talked about this for a long time. And, you know, can you opine on the payment method of this? Because the ARP monies some of the emails I received from our prosecutor's office kind of talked about how we couldn't use ARP, or how does that work exactly? Because I'm a little.
So there was some language in ARP specific to tourism. That would be money going directly to tourism organizations. So to assist, let's say, a hotel, to assist, you know, that's where that language came from. And then as we looked at the contract, and we have the authority to do this under just general fund, and as we continue to look at the contract, there's different contract language that also would be required to then move forward with ARPA money, going back and forth. So this, at this point, looks like a general fund expenditure. Our prosecutor's office, Maggie, has kind of combed through this and trying to figure out the different angles for ARPA funds. At this point, it didn't look like it. I mean, it started turning into a round peg, square hole type situation, to try to get that to fit. But once again, you know, I think we've all identified this as a very important topic for the county, and an important tool that's been needed to assist the tourism board, tourism industry. And once again, what is that branding? What's the messaging? What's the target audience? Who are we trying to bring into the area? And what is the best way to do that? So yeah, as she kept looking at the final rules within ARPA, it became clearer and clearer that it was going to be harder to kind of meet that purchasing guidelines through the ARPA rules, essentially is what happened. So this would be general fund, just so both of you are aware. I know initially we said ARPA, but the more we dug into it, the more it doesn't necessarily fit.
Can we amend the start and end date
I'm sure we can.
so that we get a complete, I mean, this is July 25th, we just back it up to the date that we actually can start an effort? Is that what?
Oh, yeah,
it is?
we can definitely change the dates on this.
Okay.
That's not an issue.
So this is a general fund purchase?
It would be.
Okay. Commissioner Coleman, do you have anything? I just feel like we've talked about this for so long, we've got to move forward. We just got to do it. We can't wait to try to figure out how to fit that square peg in the round hole.
Yeah.
It's too much time, and this is too important. We have literally been discussing this for a long time.
Well, and the goal is that EDG would have their work done this year to complete and have the plan started and executed, and starting in '23. Is kind of how the time frame looks, you know, as they're building out that plan and doing their due diligence and talking to all the stakeholders and everybody in the community. And you know, as you said, this was identified through the master plan through Ohio, or through the city, but also the Ohio River Way.
Yeah.
They were doing a huge study about this area, and quite honestly, all the way down to Cincinnati. They identified this as a huge gap within the community as well, in terms of what that cohesive message is, and how do we tell people, because we have a ton of beautiful assets here, and more are coming, but there doesn't seem to be a cohesive manner in which we market ourselves to bring people in to, quite honestly, spend their money here.
I remember when I was involved in sales for many years, the statement that was made is if you're not marketing, you're dying. That's all there is to it. If you're not spending money to market your area, you're not progressing fully. And it's obvious that we don't do a superior job. There's people that do it. I mean, there's work that's done. But that we're missing things. We are missing things. And if we can help that effort, because look, I mean, it helps our economy. You bring people into the community, it helps our economy greatly. The more people know about our area, perhaps the more that they'll be interested in locating here. So we need to do something. This is not a huge ticket, I don't think, to get us to where we need to be, to understand ourselves better. We do not talk about ourselves. That's part of our culture. And when you're doing marketing, you have to. That's all there is to it. We don't like to brag, but we have a lot to be proud of in this area, and we have a lot to market. So we need to do a better job, because there's still people that live here that don't even know about a lot of the things that we have to offer here in Soda County.
It's true, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
people that live here that don't even know, about a lot of the events that happen or that we have going on, even new things that are happening or in the works. So, it's sad whenever, and of course I know this personally, like with the Christmas Cave, most of our visitors are not from this area. By far, they're away from here. By far, the number is very large. Not even from Soda County. And it's right out there in Medford. So, I mean, we already see this. We see that there's a deficiency. And, Winterfest deals with the same thing. Others, they deal with the same thing. So it's getting the message out. We will probably be very surprised what can happen just by doing a better job of marketing. So I think it'll pay for itself. I really do. So that's all I have.
Any additional comments or questions?
I just want to thank Maggie Miller from the prosecutor's office for delving into this matter and making sure that we cross our T's, dot our I's, and
Correct.
do everything that we're supposed to do, or not supposed to do.
Even better.
Yeah. With ARP, it's a slippery slope. You
Yes,
gotta be
it
careful.
is.
You really do.
And I think probably a lot of people don't realize the amount of work from a prosecutor's office that goes into reviewing every item from an ARP standpoint, and being very mindful of making sure we have the appropriate documentation from an audit perspective, and that everything is to the T. And those rules seem to change, so they're very much on it. So we appreciate them and their constant guidance as we kind of throw different projects at them. So thank you. Any additional comments or questions on item 8? Hearing none.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye. That is our agenda for today. Do we have any questions, items on agenda?
It was a fairly short.
It's a fairly short meeting. Nothing on agenda. Any questions or comments, items not on the agenda? Yes, sir. We're going to get you a microphone. Please state your name and, you want to go podium? Sure, you can do that. Let's put a camera on him too.
You didn't catch it. It says fairly short.
Fairly.
Fairly short,
Did you
yeah.
want me to?
Yeah, but you didn't catch it.
What's that?
Just push that one down. We got the
Fairly
black one right
oblivious
there.
to.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is Russell Porter. You probably all know me. First, I want to thank you for that tour that you arranged at the Shawnee Marina 2 weeks ago. That was a real eye-opener. That's
Yeah.
a jewel in the crown right there. That's amazing. I had no idea what was going on there. For anybody that's listening, that facility is open. The old pro shop is the gift shop now, where you can rent marina space and gifts, and some of the facilities are completed. A lot are still in progress, and I don't think the campground will be open until middle of next year. But the reason I'm here is to talk about the library. In early June, I became aware that there was a pride display at the library, and it initially didn't hit me, didn't bother me that much. It was, Pride Month is June, and I assumed that it would be respectful, and not directed toward children. I soon became aware that that's not the case. I attended the June meeting, and my initial comment was that I'm against censorship. I firmly believe in openness and displaying material in a library for the general public's good. But this display, I became very aware that it's a lot more than just celebrating Pride Month. The minutes from the June 21st meeting of the library stated that as a patron checked out all the books in the display, these material are not available for the board of directors to review. Well, that kind of raised a little flag for me. So I went back on the 30th and I asked them specifically for a list of the books that were in that display, and they didn't have it. They don't have it. They never had it. There was actually 25 books in that display. And I have a picture of the display. It was very, very artful. It presented children's books interestingly. But I was not able to get the list from the library, so I purchased them myself. I bought 2 books off of Amazon. One being called Being You, rated ages 2 to 6. Let me just read you one page from that book. Some babies grow up into a different gender than the one that grown-ups called them. There are a lot of different types of genders that people grow into. Interesting. Ages 2 to 6. Then the other book I purchased was the Everybody book, rated by Amazon, ages 8 to 11. Here's a cover of it. The first section shows male and female body parts, okay? I covered those up because I don't want to be accused of pornography. This goes into greater detail in the male and female body parts, okay? Ages 8 to 11. How many kids can understand what all this means? More pages of body parts. Greater detail of body parts, male and female. This shows a male erection. Okay, it's covered up. You can lift the cover. You can lift the cover there, and you can see what it's showing. Then it goes into LGBTQ plus possibilities. There's a page on ejaculation. Okay, you need to know that at 8 years old? I don't think so. There's a page on sperm, on pregnant male. They show a male pregnant. Okay? What is that trying to show? These are available to look at if you're interested. Anyway, on June 30th, the library board directed the library director to come up with a display policy because they didn't have one at the time. So on July 19th, the following display exhibit bulletin board policy was approved by the Portsmouth Public Library. And it's pretty weak, I have to say. One of the they create a committee of Adult Services Coordinator, Outreach Services Coordinator, Youth Services Coordinator, and branch supervisors. And the committee uses the following criteria to make decisions about display topics, material, and accompanying resources. The primary criteria is to review the age appropriateness as determined by the publisher of the material. So in other words, if a publisher determines that that's good for 8 to 11-year-olds, then it's fine by the committee. One of the big things that hit me was that the library has an acceptance of a display or exhibit topic by the library does not constitute an endorsement by the Portsmouth Public Library. Well, if you look at the dictionary, endorsement is defined as approval. Okay, now unless this thing dropped out of the sky, it's approved by somebody in the board in the library to put this display on a table by itself, highly decorated, in the child section aimed toward children, ages 2 to 17. Okay? Also, listen to this, the library director has the discretion to permit displays or exhibits that may be quick notice events that do not go through the quarterly scheduling process. What kind of display is so urgent that it has to go immediately into the library and not go through the review process? Why have a review process if the director can decide on her own that we need this? Okay, so on August 2nd, after getting a copy of the policy, I sent a message to Mrs. Paige Williams, director of the library, and copied the entire board as best I could. And I listed 7 items for discussion to talk about the policy and hopefully get some possible improvement to it, okay? Now, I realize I'm a person, a single resident taxpayer. I don't have much weight. So they blew me off. Mrs. Williams responded that the next meeting will be August 16th at noon, and I have 3 minutes to talk to them. Okay, and it's not a discussion, it's a one-sided dialogue. So I investigated beyond the library. The library, it turns out, is a minor cog in this whole situation. The Portsmouth Public Library is a member of the American Library Association. So I went to their website and I checked on what policies they have. Their policies are even weaker than Portsmouth. They have something called the American Library Association Bill of Rights and the Freedom to Read Statement. Okay? Can I, with your permission, I'd like to read just one paragraph from this American Library Association's Access to Library Resources and Services for Minors. Children and young adults unquestionably possess First Amendment rights, including the right to receive information through the library in print, sound, images, data, blah, blah, blah. Constitutionally protected speech cannot be suppressed solely to protect children or young adults from ideas or images a legislative body believes to be unsuitable to them. Libraries and their library governing boards should not resort to age restrictions in an effort to avoid actual or anticipated objections, because only a court of law can determine whether or not content is constitutionally protected. Okay? Well, I researched a little further. Appendix A in their American Libraries Association's Bill of Rights states, paragraph 2, materials should not be prescribed or removed because of partisan or doctrinal disapproval. Okay? Section 5, a person's right to use the library should not be deemed or abridged because of origin, age, or background of views. Age, okay? So the American Library Association doesn't think age should matter when it comes to material. Did a little further investigation and went to the Ohio Revised Code, okay? Each board or library trustees appointed pursuant to sections blah, blah, blah. Section 3375.64. The network board, referring to electronic network, I assume, shall adopt a policy that requires each participant to establish and enforce procedures designed to keep juveniles who use the participant services from having access to materials or performances that may be obscene or harmful to juveniles, and to keep persons who are not juveniles, whatever. Sexual offense definitions. Harmful to juveniles means the quality of material or performance describing or representing nudity, sexual content, sexual excitement. Section 2, the material or performance is patently offensive to prevailing standards in the adult community as a whole with respect to what is suitable for juveniles. This is the Ohio Revised Code. The Ohio Library Association doesn't believe that that applies. They're above the law, okay? My final comment is I'm asking for your moral support to deal with the library and their policies. I plan to go to that meeting on the 16th and have my 3 minutes say. But also, I'd like your support for House Bill 327. The Portsmouth City Council voted against that bill. And let me just read you what the definition of the bill is. To amend sections 3314.03 and 3326.11, to enact sections 3313.6027 and 4113.35 of the revised code to prohibit school districts, community schools, STEM schools, and state agencies from teaching, advocating, or promoting divisive concepts. Now, I think they need to beef this up. I've talked to Terry Johnson and Brian Baldridge. It hasn't gone very far. They do need to improve it. I've many copies of a CRT handbook, which is, I believe, the driving factor in all of this. And I plan to hand that out to the representatives in the House of Representatives in Ohio and Columbus to see what the definition of CRT is and to hopefully improve this HB 327. Yeah. And with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Porter, for coming in. You want to go ahead and turn the camera back? I know Brian has been vocal on this topic. I will share that my kids, ages 6 and 10, are in this very age range and frequent the library often. It's a place they enjoy to go. And I think as I listen to the conversation, there's a group of people that want to make this more than sexualizing children. They want to make it an attack on a certain population of people. That is not how I see this at all. It is protecting our children, allowing parents to be parents, and not forcing any whether it be LGBT or any sort of sexualization on our children. That is a parent's right. It is a parent's duty to have those conversations. And if the library wants to have the information, it is one thing. It is another thing inherently to have a display in place in the children's area where kids are just running and grabbing books. And I can guarantee you that my family, and I'm going to say 95% of the people that visit the library, are not selecting the books for their children, reading every page, and then handing it over to their children. They're just not. Because for the longest time, people saw the library as a safe place to go for kids to gather books, whether it be for history or for fantasy, a place to gather information and to escape and to learn. This is not one of those topics that should be on display. For someone that says they don't realize that it is divisive is fooling themselves, 100% fooling themselves. Clearly it's divisive. Clearly it is. Clearly it is not an area that a library should be pushing onto 2-year-olds, 8-year-olds. The pictures, and Russ, I appreciate you bringing in the books. I saw some of those pages. I didn't realize the magnitude of what some of that was being directed as, and just because a publisher says this book is for ages X. Well, heck, what's that standard? Other than them throwing an age on it, what's the standard? Clearly there is none, because those books are not age appropriate. I'm hopeful that the library board has heard the citizens of the county. I am hopeful that this policy will be followed and will stop some of this behavior. I'm saying hopeful. Clearly it's going to be up for the citizens to continue to monitor and be engaged in the process. But from my estimation and my children going into that space, it is unsettling. It is unsettling that that would be the choice of display and the choice of books placed on display to push a certain narrative. Whether you want to believe it or not, it is a certain narrative with certain beliefs that children should be exposed to, and I just stand against it. It's wrong, it's improper, and our library should be focused on other items versus pushing a narrative from a very small subset of the population to justify whatever it is they want to choose or believe as adults. And they're free to do so. We live in a free country. Adults can do whatever they want. Quit sexualizing children. That's my stance on it. Thank you, Russ, for coming in and sharing the extra information. Once again, I didn't know all of that. I'm guessing most of the citizens of Sauter County didn't know additionally some of those items, so thank you for that. Anybody else has any comments on this item? Feel free.
Well, thank you, Chairman Powell, for letting us know your feelings on that. I totally agree with you, and I thank you, Russ, for taking the extra steps to bring this to light, because there are still a lot of people who don't follow city council, they don't follow the newspapers and so forth. So thank you for coming in and making us aware of that.
All right.
Yeah. So, HB 327, you mentioned HB 327 specifically, as written. I don't think it'll ever get out of the, I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever vote on it, to be honest with you. I don't know if it'll make the House floor. But I know that there was certain individuals in council, or at least one, that tried to make this an issue about LGBTQ rights as well. 327 is not written that way. They added that to their resolution or proclamation or whatever it was they did. It's not in there, so I don't know why that language was added to it. But anyways, 327 is clear in what it's trying to accomplish. And I agree with you that there's some language there that could be strengthened, or at least, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure that that is something that Representative Baldridge will look at. I know there's great debate on this particular bill right now in Columbus. Not necessarily opposition to it, but wording, so they're looking at that. So we'll see what happens when the Ohio General Assembly comes back in session, which I think is November. So I'm not really sure when they're going to take that back up. I think taking a position on a bill prematurely, maybe it was premature to do that, and also to add incorrect language that what it was about was wrong. I think we have bigger problems locally than for them to have waded into that. But that's just me personally. That's them. I would say, from the very beginning, and I have been vocal about this library issue. I have been very vocal about it because I saw danger in what was being presented to our children in our community. And I will say that the vast, vast majority of individuals that I have talked to, 95%, 96%, I mean, easily high numbers of people that I've talked to have agreed with me and even with Mr. Porter in that no one's for censorship. We live in a free country, and but part of being free, freedom doesn't give you the right to do whatever you want to do. It gives you the right to do what's right. Of course, there's a great definition there, a gap in what is right. What is right, and that's something that's debated often in our society. But morally, I believe, personally, and I have a guiding compass. I have a guiding compass. I am a Christian. I have been attacked for my thoughts on this library issue because of my Christianity. But the vast majority of people I have talked to are opposed to a display of this type in the children's section. When I spoke at the library, I never said burn the books. I never said abolish the books. I didn't do any of that. But I did bring up, as a father and grandfather, my concern about the contents of those books, especially with the age groups and that were mentioned. And as you mentioned, just because the publisher puts an age limit on a book, that doesn't make it okay. And that it needs to be looked at. Some of these books, something I've learned, is that some of these books were donated by publishing houses. Well, who pays for them? Who pays for those books? Someone's paying for those books. Publishing companies just don't toss them out there and say, here you go, free stuff. Maybe they do, I don't know. But I have a feeling there's someone behind it with an agenda. Okay? I don't know. I don't have that information. I've actually asked for invoices from the library to show where those books came from, and I didn't get it. So it must have been free, and somebody's donating them. I don't know. But anyways, I really feel that it has been misrepresented what is being asked for by the public. But this is not an issue of censorship. It's an issue of right versus wrong. That we should not be placing material in a children's section. Matter of fact, what was said in those meetings multiple times was move the display. Do not allow this to happen again. Don't allow that material. Move it to the adult section. If an adult wants to get it from the adult section, let them get it from the adult section. Never was it said abolish the books. Never was it said burn the books like some people had said. And that's where it's being misrepresented by people who want to push that agenda, who wants to push that narrative that there are people out there that are just against the gay community, that are just against that lifestyle. And that is not what has been represented from day one on this thing. And it's unfortunate. And it did cause a schism in our society and in our community. So personally, I think the policy is weak, very weak. I think there needs to be more accountability in regards to the decision that is made. I know that there is an appeal process that has to be gone through, which is a lengthy process, and one that if you feel like a book or a display has been approved by this rotating board within the library, that you can appeal that and it go before the board. That's why I understand it's a process. So that's what the policy states. We'll see how that works. But I'm very concerned about the American Library Association, personally. I think just based upon some of the things I've read as far as what they support and don't support, is very troubling. I think it's, and I think it's something that everybody needs to consider, that I understand what the American Library Association is putting out there, but I think people need to also be concerned about what the citizens of Scioto County think. Not just the American Library Association somewhere here in the United States. That the citizens of Scioto County need to be taken into consideration here by our local library when making these decisions. So, with that said, I hope that things will improve. I know there's some think that everything's fine and dandy and everything's working as it should, but there is a significant portion of the population of Scioto County that does not feel that way. And they're not vocal, they're not seriously, very vocal about it, because they don't want to receive the hate from the other side, So, but I will tell you, there is a significant number of people that are very upset about this and will not let it go. And talking with local clergy that represent thousands of people, that's what we're dealing with here. So it's something that everyone should think about very, very hard, and make sure that good decisions are being made, good sound decisions are being made, because the last thing we want is we do not want our library system to be impacted negatively in Scioto County. We need the ability for people to go to the library and to utilize technology, to have access to learning, reading materials. We need that, but we also need there to be responsible decisions made to, in my estimation, protect our children. Let them grow up, let them develop naturally, and not try to push a certain agenda on them. It's just not healthy, and it's not good. And we need to make sure that that's happening inside of the county.
Thank you.
Well said.
Any questions, additional questions, items not on the agenda? And we've got time for two. So,
All right, Colin Doctorman, if the commissioners were to win the separate suit being filed against Big Pharma, how would that money be spent in a way to better our opioid/overdose crisis?
that's a good question. And we were just notified that there was was it California?
Yes.
There was a ruling
Texas.
against Walgreens. Not yet a financial ruling against Walgreens, but a ruling against Walgreens that yes, they did contribute to the issue. So that bodes well and helps our case, strengthens our case. As we're working through, and I can't say a whole lot, but as we're working through the lawsuit, essentially the request for abatement is going to each office holder saying, okay, what will it take to abate this problem, to fix this problem over the next 30 years, is essentially how we calculated it out. So there's everything in there from assistance with children's services, assistance with whether it be treatment, assistance with first responders, EMS, what does that look like for the next 30 years? Education within the school systems. So there's a lot of different things. That money would be specific to abatement and abatement only. So even if we get this huge windfall, it's not like we can go out and just spend it on roads or anything like that. So it's how do you now fix the issue? It's not looking back in time to repay ourselves for the damages done. It is looking at how do we now fix the issue. And my hope would be that we would engage individuals and organizations within the community to ensure that we're getting the biggest and best bang for our buck. And finally turn the corner on this opioid crisis and the damage that these companies have done to our community. Any other thoughts on that one?
Yeah, prevention education is huge.
Yep.
Something we're already looking at through the Adams Board. We've met with them and discussed different avenues, how we can do that in our schools. Funding is always a problem there. It really is. So if we could really receive adequate amounts of money to be able to support that, and that's one thing. That's one part of our lawsuit is it's for several years. You know, our damages, it's based upon, the formula is based upon several years of resolving this issue. It's not a situation where you just get a lump sum and you're going to fix it and work on it for a year. This is going to take, it's a generational approach. It really is, because it's taken generations for us to get where we are, and it's going to take us a generation to get out of it, really, or multiple generations. So prevention education is huge. The trauma caused by this, children's services. I think about our first responders. You mentioned first responders. You know, we're seeing a lot of people suffering from burnout because of the opioid epidemic. We're seeing that at all levels, paid, unpaid, volunteer, you name it. We're seeing it everywhere. We're hearing it everywhere. We see it in their eyes too. You know, you talk enough with our first responders, they're wore out. They're just wore out. So they're trying to save lives, and a lot of times the situations turn into just a mess, and it really is hard on our first responders. And we need to, you know, make that work. We also, you know, through our One Ohio, you know, with the regional, and of course you serve on the regional board, you know, that the whole point of that is, and of course we settled with Johnson & Johnson. That's something that's kind of not seen. You know, we're still active as far as with the distributors, but the manufacturers, we actually settled with Johnson & Johnson, and there's money flowing through the One Ohio, and it'll eventually, I mean, the first payment went out, eventually really work its way into the regions. There's representation from every county. I think we have 9 counties in our Region 9. Is that right? 9, 8,
8 and 9.
8, yeah. So that board meets, and they will work on the regional allotment as far as distributing that to the different entities. But what is interesting about that is that entities can come and present to the regional board and say, look, we represent this particular, you know, whether it be recovery housing or whether it be educational or whether it be, you know,
Municipal.
a mental health facility, municipal, whatever it might be, and be able to come and say, we have this project or we have this program that we would like to get funded. What can you do to help? Because these are the healthcare professionals. These are individuals that do have the training, do understand the in-depth part of what needs to be done. And they'll be able to present that, and then those individuals will make a decision on distributing those funds to the different communities within Region 9. So that's big, and I don't think we're quite there yet, but it's almost. It's they're working on it. Yeah, they're working on it. It's very difficult to get it set up because of the legalities. It's the legalities. Trust me, everybody's pushing headlong and wanting. Matter of fact, Scioto County led the charge to get Region 9 set up, and here we are, and we're still waiting on the legalities because they rushed this One Ohio plan into place, and now they're trying to work out to make sure everything's done, legal, audit trails, financials, all that stuff is very important because we're talking about a lot of money. So it needs to be adequately traced and accountable. So I'm really excited because, you know, you've got the Adams Board that's going to be able to, they're going to be one, and I know they're working on prevention education. Right now they're in 2 counties. They really want to go into all 3, and that's Sue's heart. You know, Sue Schultz, she really wants to do that, and we're looking for ways to fund that right now. So it's going to be good to have someone in each school really helping with that. But we're working on that right now. But yeah, good question. And working with the professionals within the recovery community and elsewhere to have a holistic approach and really tackle this thing in a much more efficient and effective manner. I think it can be done. I really do, and that we'll see the numbers reduce. We'll see the number of people reducing as far as the people. Number one, we'll see the number of people recovering increase, and then we'll see the number of people in recovery go down because we won't have as many people entering recovery.
Right.
That will be preventing that at a younger age. That's the key. And I think the statement was made the other day that their job was to put themselves out of business.
Should be.
That's what I read, that should be the goal of the recovery community, is to put yourself out of business, that there will be a day that'll come that it won't be needed anymore. And that would be a wonderful day, that day comes. So, of course, recovery isn't just opioids. I mean, there's all kinds of different addictions and things that people go through, and of course, mental health is a big part of it now. And sometimes those come together. Those are intertwined a lot of times, actually. So that's something that we're addressing now in a big way, and there's a lot of that going on with different entities, federal, state funding, mostly. And we'll see what we can do.
All right.
Good question.
Any other question? One more question. And then if there's others on there, we'll get to those as we can.
Joshua Lawson, regarding the One Ohio Recovery Foundation that has been set up by Governor DeWine to distribute opioid settlement money, whether or not they are legally obligated to hold open meetings, include affected individuals, and make public their operations, do the commissioners believe that the foundation should do so for the sake of government transparency?
I can tell you, as the president of our region, I have no opposition to anybody showing up to the meetings. Right now, it's actually pretty boring meetings because we're truly still working through just bylaws and the structural piece of standing this thing up and waiting on some legal advice from the AG's office and Dinsmore Scholl, who's our attorney for our region. So I don't have any problem with anybody showing up to any of the meetings. The reality is, once the money is released and technically the money doesn't flow through the board, rather the board makes the recommendation on the different projects and it gets paid out differently. So through the regions, there's actually not even a treasurer because we don't have to set up a fund or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, it's clearly going to have to be public when people come and present their plans and their ideas, and it's not going to happen in a vacuum. I think it's important for people to remember that it's the political subdivisions that filed suit, and I know there's been some pushback that there's not been enough people in the recovery world involved yet in the One Ohio system. I think that'll change eventually. I think right now the skin in the game is in 100% from the political subdivisions. We're the ones that sued, we're the ones that settled, so we're the ones that want to make sure the system is set up in a way that benefits the community. Each county has the ability to appoint whoever they want. At this point, it happens to me, myself, but I can see us getting to a point where we're comfortable with the structure, we're comfortable with the workflow and how that's approached, and maybe somebody else from the county we would want to appoint. But right now, at the beginning stages, I think that's why you're seeing the governments wanting to be involved in the process, because we want to make sure that the system is set up in a way that's beneficial for the entire region. I think our region is going to be dealing with about don't quote me on this, about $1.4 million a year at this point. That pot could get bigger as settlements come in. And then it'll be up to different organizations to have projects to present. They'll get scored accordingly, presented up to the foundation board, and the foundation board's still going to compare that against the judge's orders to ensure that it meets the settlement language. So you could have a great idea, but if it doesn't meet that abatement language, it could still get shot down at that next level. There's a lot happening there. We're still working on bylaws just for our board. Some of the other boards have some bylaws, they've been kicking them around. And even at the statewide level, they're still not entirely set up yet either. So there's a lot of work happening there, a lot of good work happening there. It's necessary work, but eventually I think there'll probably be more people involved that are in the recovery world or in mental health services. And we also got to be mindful that we can't appoint somebody to a board that can then turn around and have their organization financially benefit as
Right there.
well.
Yeah.
So there's going to be that fine balance of expert versus benefactor.
Yeah.
So there's a lot there. And I think, some of the money's already hit the localities because 30% already went to the localities, some of the townships. I think the city got theirs, their first payment. In terms of the region or the One Ohio Foundation, none of that money will start to flow until these board structures and foundation structures are set and finalized, and that work's still happening.
Chairman, I believe, just so everybody knows, maybe some don't, there are 3 people from Sauter County
Correct.
that are on the board. You're one of them. There was also a township representative that was selected by the Township Association. We didn't go out and pick and choose or anything like that. Township Association came together, and that is Mr. Ted Adams from Porter Township. He is not a township trustee. They actually picked a fiscal officer to be on the board, which actually, his background is school administration, and of course, he's a fiscal officer, so he's a money guy. That actually was, I thought, a pretty good choice, because if anybody knows what the kids have gone through and that part of it, that gives you a little bit of a insight into children. And of course, he knows a lot of the former or current administrators, and he hears a lot of things. The other one is Solicitor John Hass from Portsmouth City. And with him, he was the attorney for the Adams Board. I don't think he is anymore, and that may be because of some of the things that, because they're working on down there. But he also is the attorney for the Portsmouth City Health Department. So he's sat on these boards, he hears things, he knows things, and so he can provide input. A lot of the counties use this model. They had a representative from the largest municipality, they had a representative from the Township Trustees Association, and they had a representative from the county commissioners. That was a simple model, something that was actually proposed by us, and a lot of the counties went with it, but not everybody. Some of the counties actually, if I'm not mistaken, isn't there a counselor from one of the counties, whether it be Fairfield Fairland, or maybe a representative from within the recovery community? I could be wrong about that.
We have a director of CAO on our board for one of the counties.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, your point was well taken, and actually something that was discussed by the County Commissioners Association of Ohio is that we needed to caution against appointing people that could have a conflict of interest with receiving funds. That's a bad place to be, and you don't want to do that and put someone in a position where they would have to recuse themselves literally a lot, So that was part of that decision. I don't think anyone ever at the beginning thought, well, we're going to load it up with recovery professionals, because that wasn't going to work. You have to be able to solicit funds. You have to ask for funds. So, but we did, I think, feel strongly that there would be organizations that are the professionals that are going to come and say, we do this every day. We know what we're doing. We need funding for X, and that was going to be the way that was done. So it's going to be an unbiased, way to look at it, and a safe way to do it without having the conflicts of interest. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. With that, Commissioner Coleman, any last comments?
No, you've covered everything adequately. But I would like to mention, we have been attending the fair every night. We've had a little rain, and I just hope that everyone will go out and enjoy themselves. The food is delicious. It's just a great time out there, and they need your support.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis.
And I might add that
Couldn't get away from it.
Here we go.
Go ahead.
we had a
Take your victory
competition
lap.
at the, what was it called? The
Fun Slide 3000.
Sounds
Yeah,
like
yeah.
2000, yes.
And this was discussed between the other two commissioners, and they asked me or challenged me to participate. And I'm just, I just want to take a moment
To gloat, yeah. Go ahead.
to say, I did come in first place,
Twice.
and then I was challenged by Sheriff Thurman, and I also beat him. And so I'm very proud to be a woman and a female commissioner. And as I said the other night, oh, victory is so sweet. So I was looking for my trophy this morning, but apparently I'm not going to get one.
I still got a bruise from that stiff arm at the top.
Oh,
Mr. Davis, you have anything?
I
There-
could opine on the competition, because on the west side, it's not cheating, it's competing.
there you go.
Right? That's
There
your
you go.
words,
There
not
you
mine,
go.
okay? So,
Yeah, you better be careful.
so I know, I gotta be careful, but I know that Kathy's crew is very proud of you today. I will say that it was a tough competition, but she earned her win. She did. I will give that to her. And we are now looking for the next competition, because we actually had more people watch that than watch our meetings.
By far.
So there's something to that. So we're thinking about doing another. So far, the carousel race
Carousel
is
horse
number
racing.
one. Carousel horse racing is number one for the next competition on Friday, tomorrow. So we will schedule that. Watch the commissioner's Facebook page. We'll get that scheduled. I'm sure hundreds of thousands of people show up, and yeah, it's going to be great. So congratulations, Kathy. Well earned, and we will drag the sheriff into the next competition. But it was fun. The fair is great. I will tell you, I am so impressed with the kids in 4-H. They are so great. And these kids have worked so hard. If anybody ever says there's nothing for kids to do, get them involved in 4-H. My goodness, those kids stay so busy. They get so many things done. And someone told me there's over 900 and some projects, 4-H projects at the fair. And you know, I've had this week, we showed around some people, you know, that don't live here. They've gone around the fair and they just love it. They're blown away that our fair is, you know, your fair is better than our fair. Just a little bit of a competition, I think. But it's been good, and we've been able to meet and talk with a lot of different people. Actually done some business out there, and you know, in the ag community, and talked about different things that could be done to help in the ag community. And then just the food, it goes without saying, the food's amazing. But yeah, it's been good, and the next 3 days are going to be fantastic,
Yes.
weather-wise. So please get out there. Yes, sir.
Can I mention just, if you'll let people know that tomorrow is senior day and it's only $3?
Yes.
Senior
Perfect.
citizens.
Senior Day tomorrow, $3 for senior citizens
Yep.
at the fair. So
Yes.
get out and enjoy.
Yes, and it's going to be great. I mean, I'm so looking for it. And tomorrow's supposed to be a high of 78.
Perfect.
Oh, wow.
Awesome weather. Today's supposed to be a high of 82.
Stop by our booth.
Stop
Yes.
by our booth.
Stop by our booth. We're in Building 4 all the way at the end. Pick up some commissioner swag. And it's been a good week. We really love seeing individuals. I was able to get out and walk around yesterday some and see individuals and to see it's not just animals. Everybody thinks it's just the animals. Agriculture, plants, vegetables, fruits, the artwork, quilts, the 4-H, individual 4-H club displays. Go check that out. There's so much talent in Sauter County. It's all on full display. The bands did great the other night. Man, they just really did a great job. And all of the motocross was great the other night. Unfortunately, tractor pulls got rained out last night. But they'll be back, entertainment will be back tonight. But they do need our support. We need to make sure that we keep the fair a viable entertainment option for Sauter County, and that we keep our 4-H very strong. I know the Extension Office works very hard on that, the Agricultural Society and the Fair Board works very hard to bring a great fair for us as citizens to enjoy. So please do that and come out to the fair next 3 days. Wonderful weather. We ordered it. It's great. It's good. If it rains, don't blame us. And but yeah, I think the worst is over. It's going to be beautiful the next 3 days. So come on out and enjoy. I think it's going to be great.
Well
So-
said. I'll echo, get to the fair, support our fair. Thank you for the Fair Board and the ag community for all you're doing this week. It's a big lift to pull this off, and the kids have worked hard, so get out and support them as they're wrapping up their shows. I know a lot of kids are going to be asking for donations. There is an online platform. If you have a kid or know of a kid that's in 4-H, encourage them, get online, maybe throw some money their way. They put a lot of work in over the year
It's a good idea.
to show off their skills, and this is a nice way to pay them back, get them a little money just in time for school. And also I'll mention the Hilltop Initiative has a kickball tournament, cornhole, community event. They're trying to raise money for the Mountain Park project. So if you're in town on Saturday and want to stop by, they'll have food vendors and such. That's another opportunity to get out and enjoy something within the community. With that said, I'm excited to get back out to the fair and to see everyone. Please stop by our booth, see us. It's been great to connect with everyone and hear from you personally and in a very personal setting. So stop by and see us. And with that, can I get a motion?
Motion to adjourn,
Okay.
10:47.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye. Thank you so much. We'll see you at the fairgrounds.